I think deep inside me there was always a call to be a pastor. When I was a child, preschool, one of the games I used to play was I'd take a family Bible and I'd go next door and I'd play preacher. Later, when I was 12, I was asked to tell the story at the closing of Bible school. And I could never do it right. I'd get parts of the story wrong or I'd forget it. But yet when I stood and told the story, I was able to tell it with none of that. Just go right through it and no mistakes. And for the first time in my life, I felt an empowerment from the Holy Spirit in doing something. A few years later, when I was 17 years old, I felt a call upon my life to pastoral ministry. And I wish I could say that I jumped right on it. I said, "Yes, Lord, here I am." But that wasn't my response. And my response was actually to run. Thanks to marrying a Christian lady, I got back in the church.
I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for almost 40 years. But it was out of my own brokenness, the chaos in my family and the pain and hurt and trauma that I'd seen in the lives of my patients, that I began to search. I was like, where is God in all of this? There's got to be more to this life than, ending in trauma and pain and death and illness. And so I went on a search, and my first call, or my recall, was to come to Jesus and to be very intentional in spending time with Him. I had that heartwarming experience of this overwhelming sense of God's love and grace and forgiveness, and that God was not the herder, He was the healer.
I heard God's call last summer around June 2014 when our VBS, our Bible school director, announced that she was no longer going to direct Bible school. Well, at first I probably didn't know God was leading me that way, but I love children, and I was the assistant director for Bible school, so I felt like after learning from her that I was prepared to lead that in that spot in her church.
I was 42 years old, and I was really, from the American dream point of view, I was sitting on top of the world, but I was incomplete. I was not whole. I was not happy because I was running away from a call. For me, it wasn't an audible voice, but I think it was that still, quiet voice. God's Spirit witnessed to my spirit. And it just reached a point where I could no longer say no. And I'd get on a certain spiritual level, it seemed like, and I would always push away. I'd push away from God. On an Emmaus walk at Camp Sumatanga, I said, "Yes, God, I'm going to accept this call." And I came up with a 6-year plan. Now remember, I've been running for 25 years. One Sunday, I couldn't wait any longer. And I just had to go to the altar and make public my call. So when I went public, my plan was 6 years, but God's plan was 6 days. And I was appointed that following Saturday, I was appointed to a church.
It took a while because I said yes and I said no, and I said yes and I said no, and I argued with God more than Moses did. I came up with every excuse in the world. Every time I would walk away from it, I would have this sick, empty feeling in my soul that I just knew that I had to get back on track. And finally, I surrendered and went ahead and went to licensing school and started seminary.
Well, at first I struggled just a little bit because of the time. I have 2 small children, and I wanted to make sure if I did it, that I did it in the right way. To me, it's a large task to take on VBS. And I also wanted to make sure I had my church family and the support from them before I accepted.
Primary passions in the ministry. One of those is the least of these. And Jesus in Matthew 25 called us. He said, "Whatever you do for the least of these, you did also for me." The other passion, I think it fits personally with me. It's Christians who have been justified, who have received justifying grace, but they don't want to go on to the next level. They don't want to allow God's grace into their life to lead them on to perfection or to be more Christ-like. And it's very much where I got stuck for 25 years.
I'm passionate about hurting, broken people feeling hopeless and feeling that God has turned His back on them.
Well, my passion is children. I love children. I teach kindergarten. I've been a teacher for 20 years. Well, as a child, I would go home from school and play school every day. So I wanted to be a teacher for as long as I can remember. Young children, to me, I teach kindergarten, as I said before. So to me, that's the easiest age because you can see the growth and you can see their hearts open and their spirit because they just love anything that you do with them or for them. I'm very organized, so that's my passion, to be organized. So that was one reason that I wanted to help in Bible school, is to help the leader, because it's a large task and you need someone behind you helping you organize those things.
My name is Tim Alexander, and I'm called to pastoral ministry.
My name is Kathy Griffith, and I've been called to pastoral ministry.
My name is Christy LeDuke, and I have been called to lead the children's ministry at First United Methodist Church.